What up, everybody? At the conclusion of OG Power, around the time that the new spin offs were announced, Courtney Kip did an interview with Entertainment Weekly where she said that they were patterning the Power universe after Marvel, where different characters come in and out of other people's shows, and where there's crossovers, and some of your favorite characters will come back, even if they don't get their own spin off. They will show up in different places. So with that said, with the Power Universe being patterned after the Marvel Universe, that means there will be different phases of the Power Universe, just like there's been 5 phases of the Marvel Universe so far, and Phase 6 is underway. With every phase of the Marvel Universe, it expanded with new movies, television series, and with new characters added in each phase. And this is also what we'll see happening within the Power Universe, with the next phase of the Power Universe being Phase 3. Phase 1 of the Power Universe, OG Power, set the foundation for the Power Universe, the location being New York City, introducing main characters like James St. Patrick, aka Ghost, Tommy Egan, Tasha St. Patrick, Angela Valdez, and Kanan Stark. Details of their backstory, like how they all grew up on the South Side Jamaica, Queens, with the main themes of the show being power struggle, drug dealing, family, toxic relationships, and a lot of killing. Phase 2 of the Power Universe continued to build on the foundation that was laid by OG Power, with 3 key details of this expansion. Number 1 being the continuation of the OG Power storyline, now following the life of Ghost's son Tariq St. Patrick, introducing key new characters to the Power Universe like the Tejada family, and bringing back characters from OG Power like Cooper Saxe, Braden Weston, and Effie. But it also phased out a main character from OG Power, Tasha St. Patrick, after Season 1 by sending her to WetSec, only being seen on the show in a guest star role in Season 2 through 4. The second main thing that Phase 2 did was expand the Power Universe outside of New York City, with Tommy Egan fleeing New York and ended up in Chicago, introducing new characters from Chicago into the storyline like Diamond and Jannard Sampson, the Flynn family, and the Garcias, with Tommy also finding out that he had a long-lost brother and nephew living in Chicago. Because even though we've seen events take place in Power outside of New York like Washington, D.C., Miami, or Connecticut, the main storyline was always out of New York. And the third main thing that Phase 2 did was introduce a new timeline to the Power Universe, taking the Power Universe back to the early 90s, following the life of young Kanan Stark and introducing his family, the Thomas family, as well as focusing on the early life of another OG Power character, Kanan's cousin, Jukebox. And right now we're seeing the Phase 2 of the Power Universe coming to an end with the conclusion of Book 2, Ghost, after Season 4, Force ending after Season 3, and with Raising Kanan transitioning into Origins at some point. But we also know that even though the 2 shows on the current timeline, Ghost and Force, are coming to an end, there's still more spin-offs other than Origins that are under development, that are being kept under wraps until the conclusion of Power Book Force, according to Star's director of programming, Catherick Busby, in an interview with The Wrap. It was also announced that Force showrunner Gary Lennon received a multi-year deal to create expansions to the Power Universe. 50 Cent also said on Instagram, when it was announced that Season 3 would be the final season of Force, that the Power Universe was expanding. So the conclusion of Force won't be the last we've seen of the characters on the Book 2 and Force timeline. We know Origins will be a key part of Phase 3 of the Power Universe, featuring young Ghost and Tommy. I think there will also be other spin-offs, like how there were 3 books on Phase 2. But a key addition I think will be added to Phase 3 is the addition of Power Limited Series. A limited series, for example, would follow a character like Kane Tejada as he goes on the run after fleeing New York City, for only 1 season before either ending the character's storyline or eventually bringing him back to the storyline of a regular series. For example, the end of the limited series would tie him back into the main storyline. Limited series will expand the Power Universe to a whole new level because it will be adding new cast and characters that could also be connected into other storylines later on. In addition to Phase 3 adding limited series, I think Phase 3 will also continue the expansion of the Power Universe outside of New York City and Chicago, expanding into cities like LA and Atlanta, DC, or Miami, for example. I think the expansions could even include the Raising Kanan timeline in Phase 3 with limited series outside of New York City that would be on the same timeline as Origins. I also think that Phase 3 will include a couple year time jump not only on the current Book 2/Force timeline, but also for the Raising Kanan timeline, considering through the first 4 seasons it's only been 2 years and is still just the very beginning of 1993. I think the series will most likely conclude at the end of 1993 and pick back up again around 1995 or maybe even 1994. And considering Book 2 ended with the timeline still in 2023, and it will be at least 2026 before this timeline continues after Force, so there will definitely be a few year time jump before the next series and the next limited series begin on the current timeline. So because of the time jumps that will occur between Phase 2 and Phase 3, there will be a lot of mystery storylines and background information that we'll have to get caught up with during Phase 3, the things that have been going on in these characters' lives during the time jump. And there could even be possibly characters who die off screen during the time jumps, like how Famous died off screen during the time jump between Raising Kanan Season 3 and 4. I think another key part of Phase 3 will be the Power Universe diving into the political realm as a full-time storyline with a series following Rashad Tate. It will have the same power struggles, killing, and toxic relationships that we're used to within the Power Universe. The main difference will be the product will go from drugs to politics. I think something else we'll see more of during Phase 3 of the Power Universe is more crossovers, like I talked about at the beginning of this video, how Courtney Kim said there will be crossovers with characters coming in and out of other people's shows. Because we didn't get a lot of that during Phase 2 of the Power Universe. Tommy Egan appeared on Book 2 a couple times. 2-Bit appeared a couple times. Like I said, Tasha St. Patrick became a featured character in the final 3 seasons of Ghost, as well as OG characters like Rashad Tate and Blanca Rodriguez coming into the storyline to play key roles at different times. Not to mention Liliana starring in Force Season 1. So now that I said that, there was several crossovers, but I think we'll see even more during Phase 3. But with that said, Phase 1 ended with the death of Ghost that set the stage for Phase 2. And Book 2 ended with the death of Monet that will play a key part in Phase 3. And I also think Raising Kanan will end with the death of at least one of the Thomas family, and the rest of them possibly going to prison. And I think Phase 2 could also end with the death of Tommy Egan, setting the stage for Phase 3. Because yes, Joseph Sikora did say that Tommy's journey would continue after Force, and that Tommy's journey was far from over. But I think that could be talking about Tommy's journey continuing in Origins. Because I don't think Tommy will be living on the current timeline while Origins is taking place. But with that said, I also think that Ghost faked his death at the end of OG Power. So Tommy could possibly fake his death for a second time at the end of Force. Then, at the end of Origins, around 20 years later, it will finally be revealed that both Ghost and Tommy were still alive after faking their deaths. Several phases later in the Power Universe. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.